What happens when the woman who once begged for your touch now acts like your presence is a burden? When did the woman who used to crave you start treating intimacy like a chore, like a favor, like something you have to earn back every night? And why is it that millions of men are living this same silent frustration, pretending everything is fine, while slowly dying inside? You reach for her and she pulls away. Not enough to cause a fight, but just enough to remind you, tonight isn't happening. Again? She tells you she's tired. She says she's stressed. She says maybe tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Meanwhile, deep down, you wonder, how did I become the man who gets tolerated instead of desired? How did I go from the guy she couldn't keep her hands off to the roommate who pays the bills? This isn't just about sex. It's about value, about how she sees you, about how she treats you, about the slow erosion of respect and passion that no one talks about. And here's the brutal truth. Every time you stay quiet, every time you accept scraps, every time you allow yourself to be treated like background furniture, you are teaching her that this is all you deserve. But what if that could change? What if the same man she ignores today could become the man she fights to keep tomorrow? Stay with me until the end of this video, because I promise you, the answer isn't what you think. You know what's killing most marriages? It's not money. It's not kids. It's not even arguments. It's the slow death of desire. It's the quiet drift from passion to obligation, from being chosen to being tolerated. And men everywhere are living it in silence, convincing themselves this is just how marriage goes. But deep down, you know that's a lie. You can feel it every night when you reach over and she turns away. You can see it in her eyes when she looks at you like a provider, not a man. You can hear it in her voice when she says she's tired, stressed, not in the mood, for the 100th time in a row. Here's the brutal reality. She still thinks she's the prize. She still believes she's the 25-year-old woman men would chase, the girl who could get any guy to compete for her. She walks around with the same attitude she had back then, convinced she's doing you a favor just by staying. And you've been reinforcing that delusion without even realizing it. Every time you settle for less, every time you keep quiet, every time you accept her scraps of affection like they're gold, you're teaching her that she doesn't need to try anymore. You think you're being patient. You think you're being understanding. You think this is what it means to love someone. But what you're really doing is training her to give you less and less. You're showing her that neglect has no cost. You're proving to her that she can withhold affection, withhold intimacy, withhold effort, and still keep everything she wants from you. And then you wonder why the woman who once ripped your clothes off now treats you like a roommate. It goes deeper than sex. This is about how she values you, about how she's boxed you in as the provider, the comfort, the stability, while locking away the lover you used to be. She has mentally retired you from being a man she has to impress. And every day you accept this arrangement, you're signing your own death warrant as a sexual being. Look at how she behaves. She still thinks male attention means something. She gets a smile from the trainer at the gym and convinces herself she's irresistible. A coworker is polite, and she takes it as attraction. A few likes on social media, and she believes she still has it. What she doesn't realize is that attention isn't the same as commitment. Flirtation isn't the same as devotion. It's monopoly money. Looks valuable at first, but worthless in the real world. Yet she confuses this fake validation for actual market value, and that confusion feeds her entitlement. So she tells herself she's still doing you a favor by being around. She acts like her presence alone is enough. She stops initiating, stops dressing up for you, stops making you feel like a man worth fighting for. She saves her best energy for her friends, her job, her social outings, while you get the leftovers. Sweatpants, messy hair, zero effort. Because in her head, she already won. She already locked you down. Why try? But let me tell you something. That mindset is poison. And the craziest part is you're feeding it. You've never shown her the cost of this behavior. You've never made her feel the difference between being loved and being taken for granted. You've allowed her to believe that once she caught you, the game was over. But marriage isn't a trophy ceremony. It's not a victory lap. It's a marathon. And right now, she thinks she can stop running while you keep carrying the load. That's why she lights up when strangers give her attention. That's why she laughs harder with other people than she does with you. That's why she can put in all the effort for outsiders, but can't be bothered to make an effort for the man who has given her everything. Because in her mind, you're guaranteed, you're permanent, you're safe to neglect. And here's the kicker. She doesn't even know she's doing it. She's not consciously plotting against you. She's simply responding to the environment you've created. An environment where she can ignore your needs without consequence. An environment where minimal effort gets maximum reward. An environment where your silence and your patience have become the very chains that are killing her desire for you. So the question is this: how long are you willing to play this game where only she wins? How long will you keep pretending that being understanding is the same as being respected? Because until you face this truth, nothing changes. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to bring back the man she once couldn't resist. Every time you let it slide, you train her to slide further. Every time you swallow the frustration, you teach her that disrespect has no price. Every time you keep giving your all while receiving half, you prove to her that half is enough. Whether you realize it or not, you're conditioning her to want you less. You're showing her, through your silence, that you'll take whatever she gives and never walk away. And here's the contrast. Women who live off male attention for a living understand the rules better than your wife does. They know that attention is transactional. They know that if they stop creating desire, they stop receiving benefits. They know that male investment follows female effort. They understand energy management, when to lean in, when to pull back, when to satisfy, when to leave someone wanting more. Your wife doesn't play by these rules because she's never had to. You've always been there. You've always stayed loyal. You've always provided, no matter what she gave in return. That's why so many good men destroy their own relationships. They think being endlessly patient is noble. They think accepting neglect is love. They think avoiding conflict is what makes them a good husband. But here's the truth. Your silence is not kindness. It's weakness. And weakness doesn't spark desire. Weakness breeds contempt. Not the loud kind, but the quiet erosion of respect that kills attraction faster than age, faster than weight, faster than time. Masculinity isn't about being domineering. It's about being decisive, present, grounded. A man who leads, who protects, who sets standards. That strength is what creates polarity. That energy is what her femininity responds to. But the second you turn passive, the second you drop your standards, the second you stop leading, she has nothing left to respond to. She fills that gap herself. She steps into the masculine role by default. And a woman in her masculine energy does not desire a man who has surrendered his. The only signal she can't ignore is the shift in your energy. Not a fake act, not silent treatment, not manipulation, but the genuine change that comes from self-respect. When you stop begging, when you stop tolerating, when you pull back your energy and invest it elsewhere, she feels it immediately. She may not understand it right away, but she feels it. And that feeling, fear of loss, awareness of value, realization that you are not guaranteed, can wake up her desire in a way words never will. But most men are too afraid to risk it. They cling to peace, not realizing that peace without passion is just slow death. They tell themselves, "At least we don't fight," while ignoring the fact that they've become invisible. Comfort without attraction is a roommate. Security without intimacy is a business contract. And you can call that love if you want, but you know in your gut, it's not. So ask yourself, when did you stop being the man she chased and start being the man she tolerates? When did you trade being her lover for being her provider? When did you quietly agree that her comfort mattered more than your need for passion? These weren't natural shifts. These were choices. Choices you made by not choosing, by staying silent, by refusing to require mutual desire as the price of your devotion. And look at the trade you made. She gets it all. Your money, your loyalty, your presence, your name. And you get scraps. Her security is provided. Her emotions are cushioned. Her social status is maintained. Meanwhile, your hunger for intimacy, your need to be wanted, your right to feel alive as a man, those are treated as inconveniences to her comfort. That's why you feel like a ghost in your own home. That's why you wake up next to a woman who feels more like a roommate than a partner. And here's the kicker: she doesn't feel the same deprivation you do. Female desire doesn't operate like yours. Her drive isn't constant. It's responsive. It needs to be activated. And in long-term relationships, that activation doesn't happen automatically. It takes effort. It takes energy. It takes intention. None of which she's giving, because you've never made her understand she needs to. Over time, intensity fades. Novelty disappears. The chemical rush of new love burns out. That's biology. But most couples misread it. They think they've fallen out of love. They think something is broken. But the truth is simpler. It's not the end of love. It's the shift from automatic passion to intentional passion, from effortless desire to chosen desire. And unless you both learn to choose it, the relationship starves. So here's what happens next. You stop initiating because you're tired of hearing no. She stops responding because she never feels naturally aroused anymore. Both of you wait for the other to make a move, and nothing ever happens. Desire doesn't collapse in a dramatic explosion. It withers in silence, day after day, until one morning you realize you're lying beside someone who feels like a stranger. This is the death spiral. You want her, but you don't pursue because you don't want more rejection. She might respond, but she doesn't initiate because she doesn't feel the spark. You both misread the other's inaction as disinterest. Both of you pull away. Both of you guard your vulnerability. And in the process, you both kill the very thing you claim you want. It's not personal. It's biological. Women don't create spontaneous desire for the same man once the mystery is gone. Familiarity doesn't excite her nervous system the way it did in the beginning. But instead of understanding that and working with it, she assumes her lack of desire means something is wrong with the relationship. Or worse, she accepts it as normal and stops putting in any effort at all. The truth is this: female desire in long-term relationships isn't automatic. It has to be cultivated. It has to be built through anticipation, through tension, through polarity. And she has eliminated all of that. There's no anticipation because you're always available. No tension because everything is safe and predictable. No polarity because you've both collapsed into the role of neutral roommates. In that flat emotional landscape, desire can't grow. She doesn't see that her lack of sexual interest isn't proof that love has died. It's proof that effort has died. She doesn't understand that her body needs different triggers than yours to spark desire. She thinks she can sit around waiting to feel like it, not realizing that if she waits for the feeling first, it may never come. Desire in a long-term relationship is a decision before it's a sensation. But she's waiting for lightning to strike instead of choosing to build the fire. And here's where you've trapped yourself. You've created an environment with zero consequences. She can neglect you endlessly, and nothing changes. She can reject you indefinitely, and you still stay loyal. She can treat you like furniture, and you'll still pay the bills. When there's no risk, there's no incentive to change. Why should she? This isn't about punishment. It's about reality. Human behavior only shifts when actions carry outcomes. When neglect costs something, people start paying attention. When taking someone for granted comes with risk, appreciation returns. But you've created a world where she can coast forever, and you'll keep accepting it. That's why she doesn't even notice what she's doing. Boundaries aren't ultimatums. They aren't screaming or threatening. Boundaries are simply the line where your respect for yourself starts. When she treats you like furniture, you don't have to sit there quietly. When she denies intimacy, you don't have to roll over and play the patient husband. When she takes you for granted, you don't have to remain on call like a servant. And here's the part that stings. You've been playing the role of the good guy, thinking you're holding the marriage together. But in reality, you've been dismantling her attraction piece by piece. You're not showing up as her man. You're showing up as her butler. And nobody wants to sleep with their butler. So what do? You stop giving what isn't reciprocated. Not angrily, not to punish her, but naturally, as a man who values himself. If she rejects intimacy, you don't cuddle after. If she's dismissive, you don't sit around soaking it in. You leave the room. If she takes you for granted, you make other plans. Without drama, without begging, without resentment. Let her feel the absence of the benefits she's been receiving on autopilot. Let her see what life feels like without your constant attention and provision. Not to hurt her, but to remind her of reality. The reality that effort creates value. The reality that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. The reality that neglect carries a cost. Because only when she feels that cost will she start to remember who you are. Only when she senses the possibility of losing you will she remember what you bring to the table. That's not manipulation, it's gravity. The same law that governs us in every human relationship. When people realize something valuable isn't permanent, they finally treat it like it matters. She treats your marriage like a lifetime contract. Like once you said, "I do," everything else was optional. But here's the truth she doesn't want to face. Relationships aren't permanent. They're renewable. And right now, she's been coasting on automatic renewal without ever reading the fine print. When people believe something is rare, they fight to protect it. When they know it can be lost, they invest. The same applies to marriage. The moment she believes your love is guaranteed, she stops working for it. But the moment she feels your presence is conditional, that your desire requires her effort, everything shifts. And this isn't just about sex. It's about attention, about presence, about energy. It's about being treated as a priority instead of an obligation, about being seen as a man with options, not a man locked in a cage. Right now, she has forgotten the value of what you bring. She has forgotten that your commitment is earned, not automatic. She has forgotten that your love is not infinite charity. It's a choice you make every single day. The only way she remembers is when you remember. When you stop showing up like her servant and start showing up like a man who knows his worth. When you stop tolerating minimal effort and start expecting reciprocity. This isn't control over her. It's control over yourself. Over where you invest, over what you accept, over how you allow yourself to be treated. And here's the paradox. When you make that shift, the change is felt before it's understood. She won't have the words for it at first, but she'll feel it. She'll feel the ground beneath her shake. She'll feel the energy dynamic flip. When you stop chasing, when you stop overgiving, when you stop rewarding neglect, she'll notice the gap. She'll feel the loss. And for the first time in years, she'll realize she actually has something to lose. Attraction is built on accountability. Desire thrives when both partners know the connection requires effort. But you removed the stakes. You made everything unconditional on your side, while she quietly let her side collapse. That imbalance is why you feel like you're dying inside. That imbalance is why she feels nothing for you anymore. A healthy relationship isn't built on fear. It's built on reality. The reality that effort matters. The reality that neglect kills connection. The reality that taking someone for granted is the fastest way to lose them. She hasn't been living in that reality because you've shielded her from it. Your transformation begins when you finally recognize your own value. When you stop telling yourself you should be grateful for scraps. When you stop pretending that tolerance is love. When you accept that you deserve passion, not just presence. That you deserve enthusiasm, not just obligation. That you deserve to be wanted, not simply endured. And here's the part that will shock her. When you embody that truth, when you live like a man who won't settle for less, she won't understand it at first. She'll wonder why you're distant. She'll ask why you're not as available. She'll get nervous when you're no longer predictable. And that confusion is good. That uncertainty is the first spark of awareness. For the first time in years, she'll feel the possibility that she could lose you. And that fear will reignite something she thought was gone. Because when you stop being her permanent guarantee, she remembers you are a man she has to win. When you invest in yourself, she sees you as a man worth investing in. When you show that you have options, she remembers she once had to compete for you. That comfortable assumption that you'll always be there, that's been killing her desire. The second you break it, you stop being invisible. You stop being furniture. You become real again. This is not about punishing her. It's not about games. It's not about making her jealous. It's about living in truth. The truth that you don't have to accept neglect. The truth that your commitment has conditions. The truth that your love is valuable. And when she feels that, not through speeches, not through begging, but through your actions, she will wake up. This isn't about making her jealous. It isn't about playing games. It's about finally living in reality. The reality that neglect kills attraction. The reality that rejection, when left unchecked, becomes permanent. The reality that your commitment has conditions, and one of those conditions is mutual desire. When she feels this truth, not through your words, but through your energy, your actions, and your boundaries, her perspective changes. Desire often comes back, not because you begged for it, but because you stopped tolerating its absence. Not always, but often enough to matter. And when it happens, the shift in her eyes is undeniable. Suddenly, she doesn't see you as the predictable provider who will always be there, no matter how little she gives. She sees you as a man she could lose. She sees you as someone valuable, someone desirable, someone other women would want. That shift is powerful, because desire always follows value, and value is only recognized when there's a risk of loss. Remember this: you're not trying to hurt her. You're not trying to manipulate her. You're trying to wake her up, to show her that the man she once craved is still here, but he's no longer playing her game. You're showing her that love isn't guaranteed, that passion requires maintenance, that intimacy is a choice, not an entitlement. You're not just trying to save your marriage, you're trying to save yourself, because every day you stay silent, every day you accept scraps, every day you tolerate neglect, you're killing your own masculinity, you're suffocating your own desire, you're abandoning yourself in the name of peace, and in the process, you lose both peace and passion. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a relationship is to stop tolerating what's destroying it. Sometimes the only way to reignite desire is to let her feel what life without you really looks like. Not through ultimatums, not through threats, but through the natural consequences of your self-respect. When you stop rewarding neglect, she feels the difference. When you invest your energy where it's valued, she senses the loss. And only then does she remember what you mean to her. The goal isn't endless conflict. The goal isn't making her chase you forever. The goal is to reestablish balance, a dynamic where both of you are choosing each other, where both of you are investing, where effort is rewarded and neglect has consequences, where marriage isn't a prison sentence, but a conscious choice renewed every single day. That transformation starts with you. It starts the moment you decide you're worth more than scraps. The moment you stop equating tolerance with love. The moment you demand respect without saying a word. Simply by walking in your truth. From that point on, everything changes. Maybe she rises to meet you. Maybe she doesn't. But either way, you reclaim yourself. If this message stings, it's because it's real. If it feels uncomfortably familiar, it's because millions of men are living the same quiet misery and pretending it's normal. But it doesn't have to be. You don't have to die in silence. You don't have to keep giving without receiving. You don't have to stay invisible in your own home. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting. Stop excusing. Stop hiding behind patience. And start living like a man who knows his worth. Because when you do, everything around you shifts. She shifts. The relationship shifts. And most importantly, you shift. If this hit you hard, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to hear it. Hit the like button if it exposed truths you've been living but couldn't put into words. Subscribe if you want more raw, unfiltered truth about love, desire, and the consequences that actually change relationships. Because millions of men are quietly drowning in neglect, and nobody is talking about it. But today, you heard it, and now you can't unhear it. The resurrection of desire doesn't start with her. It starts with you. It starts with the death of tolerating neglect. And once you stop accepting less, you'll be shocked by how quickly everything changes.